3, 2, and we are live here on the YouTubes for the, September 2024 Westlake Charter School Board meeting. Board President Golick, you have the YouTubes.
Thank you. Welcome to those watching on YouTube. If you'd like to make a public comment, please email admin@westlakecharter.com. In the subject line, put what you want to make a comment on, and then try to keep that comment to 250 words. We'll make every effort to read it in during the meeting, but if it comes in afterwards, it will be included with the minutes. With that, Ms. Wells, will you please take the roll?
Sure. Hope.
Here.
Sean.
Here.
Josh. Meredith. Amber.
Here.
Suzanne.
Here.
Nurali.
Here.
Amy.
Here.
Anne.
Here.
Great. That brings us to celebrations. Who wants to go first? Anne.
I'll go first. I'm super excited to share that my oldest sister Sue, her son, is going off to college next Wednesday.
Yay.
He got into UC Davis, and so my sisters Rachel and Anna and I are gonna go and like drop him off and do a Costco run and all the things you need to do
That's
his
the
first
best.
day.
The best.
Yeah, so we're excited.
Do you know what dorm you got?
I do, and my sister's like,
Sorry.
it's really old. Okay.
It's really old.
It's really old.
Hey, I think it's mine.
That's a really old dorm.
I think mine's the only one still standing.
It is called.
Sorry.
Sorry, it's a long thread. Although it gives all of you some time to think about what you're gonna say.
That's right. Get your celebrations ready.
You know, I'm gonna come back to it.
Come
'cause
back
I
around.
realize we've been chatting for a while, so I'll come back to it.
Just, former Aggie dying to know.
Oh,
Okay.
Tercera?
Oh, I tore it down. It's all new. It's not bad.
Okay, all right.
That's Matt's dorm. They tore it all down. And so it's not new, but it's still Tercero, but it's not Tercero of, how many ever years ago?
Yeah. Well, his mom was also an Aggie, and I'm an Aggie, so we're excited that he's gonna be there.
I was in Segundo, so I get to pass my dorm
Oh, the
whenever I'm
nice
in
love.
Davis, which is kind of fun.
Oh.
Because it's right on the corner of LaRue. Anyway, Steve.
I want to celebrate the expansion of the Oasis. We got just some new pictures in today.
Yeah.
Gazebos are all popping up and back. Students are in the shade, so they're not out in the heat on the pavement in the back of the Oasis. Volleyball courts are going in, and so it's
Badminton went in today.
Badminton,
That went in
yeah,
today.
So it's we've really expanded the space out really, really well. So through the vision of a lot of folks involved, and Michael Sainz and his team, the developers of it.
Yeah.
It's a really cool space. If you haven't been there, I recommend you go check it out.
Love it.
Nurali?
I'm going to celebrate parents, and I'm going to celebrate all the student parents, because over the past few weeks, I feel like there's many small things that have been needed through the different teams, I should say, whether it be classroom ambassadors, Jive. I have been able to not only connect, but also be connected to so many folks. A backup person to help my children get home. I found a new neighbor in my neighborhood I never knew. We were able to some friends, because they saw people walk in the same direction, were able to get more volunteers for Jive. Today I was able to connect somebody I met at a birthday party who I found out whose son goes here to be a classroom ambassador for one area, because I was talking to a third level. It was just so many different connections that I loved it, and it's just all these different parents who are just speaking to one another in so many different forms that I think this is just a great sign of community in all these different shapes and forms. So yeah, I want to celebrate all the parents that step up.
Thought for sure this would be a 49ers related celebration, but it was not.
I thought about
Yeah.
it, and then I was like, let me try not to go.
That was a great celebration. It was great. Yeah, it was great. You did great.
The Bills are winning right now, for those that want to know.
That's
Sean.
So I guess kind of along the same line as Anne's, I got my eldest moved into his off-campus apartment at Sac State, and so that was. It was a lot of moving, but it was good. The room is very small and the bed is very large, so there's not a lot of room, but it's good. He's all moved in.
Love it.
So it's a big step because it's not a dorm. So.
Good.
Amber.
I think I'm going to celebrate high school cross country. I told lots of people it's one of my favorite things of the entire week.
Totally.
I think there's over 30 runners now, so it's just really grown, and it's just the most positive sport other than swimming. I think I've ever encountered. Those two sports are just very, very positive and really focused on, how incredible athletes are versus, the competition so much. It's just, it's still competitive, but it's just, they're very positive, and I love seeing the team grow.
Yeah.
It's great.
I also love cross country. My daughter's doing it. It's her first year. And she's not a runner necessarily. She wasn't, at least, but
She
she's
is
loving
now.
it. Yeah, but she's loving it. Okay, my true celebration though is Amy Wells.
Oh my God, I'm celebrating. Celebrating you.
Who is the woman of all things, who does all things and takes all steps.
That's your
during the
new
day.
title. New title.
Lots of steps
Woman
today.
of all
So
things.
many steps today, and many of them were through my classroom. So I just wanted to shout her out. She just is all the amazingness. So you're incredible.
Well, it's really funny. Perfect. Thank you. I was actually thinking I'm celebrating Amy because I did have to go through her classroom quite a few times today, and I'm chasing someone, and chasing sounds bad. I'm following someone respectfully at a distance, and she just keeps teaching, and she just looks up at me, and she just keeps teaching with her kids, and it was just really cute, and it's fun to see you in second grade.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Really
That's why
fun
you're
to see
second
you in
grade today.
So I apologize for busting through your classroom, but thanks for being gracious about it.
You're welcome anytime.
It's good.
I wanted to stay. You just keep going. I'll be right here.
I have lots of school-related celebrations. I mean, we could play an improv game where you tell me, say a grade level, and I'll tell you 3 great celebrations about that. But instead, today I'm going to celebrate that an amazing human being was born 83 years ago today. My mother, Eleanor Ike.
That is so cool.
And she is just the most amazing human you'll ever meet. And she lives in a senior home in Sunnyvale. And of course, she is the president of the association, and all the parties happen because of her. And she is like, you walk through the senior home with my little 83-year-old, 5 foot, 4'11" mom, and everybody's like, oh, Ellie, ba-ba-doo-ba-doo. She runs the whole joint. Well, today, there happened to be a bus trip from the little senior home to the lovely town of Monterey. Well, my son, Johnny Ike, goes to Cal State Monterey Bay. And so you won't be able to see this picture, but I want to put it on YouTube if I can. My beautiful son, Johnny Ike, and my amazing mother, Ellie Ike, and they are at the Monterey Bay Aquarium today, celebrating my mother's 83rd birthday. I love them both, and if I'll send this little clip. Mom, I
Happy
love you.
birthday.
You're amazing. You're up.
Mine's like such a downer after that.
Ah!
It's hard to follow him.
Mom, hit click. Stop. She's going to say something depressing.
I am, but so I live near a bad intersection
Oh.
and a lot of things have happened there recently, and I don't want to go down that hole, but I do appreciate Councilmember Kaplan and city staff working to try to figure out a solution. I don't know that there's an obvious one, having worked with the Yolo County Road Department for years,
Yeah.
but they're trying, and that's all we can ask of our elected officials, is to notice a problem and try to do something. So I've appreciated seeing that over the last few days, but really it's been since much earlier this year that they've been trying to figure out a solution.
Yeah.
Secondly, and quickly, and it's very different, but I'd like to celebrate that it almost feels like fall.
Yeah.
Having the time for the hottest summer on record with fair skin and red hair is been a very long summer, and so I look forward to fall and all that fall brings. Fall festival, it's just a great time. Chai lattes, I'm just saying.
Yes.
There's a lot of goodness coming.
There's a lot. I want to celebrate cross country too. I promise that's what I was thinking. So my daughter Jovi joined the team last week, and she practiced 3 days and went to the meet in Nevada City. My husband said it was the worst. It's so hard and difficult, and he said it was so positive. He cried 4 times because of the way they encouraged each other. He was every
positive.
kid was first place, but she was like, Mom, I just don't want to come in last. Out of 80 students, she came in 25th.
Oh,
So
hey.
that was really positive, but she laid on the ground and said it was the hardest thing I've
ever done in my whole life.
And she plays soccer and volleyball and cross country. So anyways, our team is amazing.
They are
Saw
amazing.
so many really cool human being things that they did for each other. So cool.
Love it.
Any board comments for items not on the agenda? Seeing none, John, you see if we have public
Yeah,
comments
let me take a
while,
peek.
we check in with Ms. Cahigas.
Oh yeah, let's check with Miss Keegas. I've got no board comments. And hi, Mrs. Keegas.
Hello.
Uh,
There
uh,
are
Oh, go ahead.
there are no public comments at the high school.
Funny, that's exactly what I was going to ask. You're the best. Thank you, Ms. Keegas. Appreciate you.
Of course. Bye.
I think Ashley should make a public comment.
She should. She should make a public comment. I do have a wave report whenever you're ready for it.
Perfect, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so our wave president has sent in a video for a wave report. Let's see if this works.
Hi, Westlake Board. This is Felix Flores, WAVE President, checking in from New York. I'm in an executive team retreat this week, but I wanted to give you a brief few minutes of updates for the board meeting today. First off, we'll kick off with Olympic Triathlon. The fundraiser has been launched as of September 3rd. We've had 119 students participate so far in the program. For this fundraiser, we've raised about $7,200. We are trying to match, if not beat, last year's numbers, which was 222 students, and to be involved with raising over $40,000. For our pace right now, we actually seem to be pretty good. My former experience as a fundraiser is that you typically get about 75% of your donations in the last 72 hours of a fundraiser. So this is actually a fairly healthy pace. We're going to continue to have a comms plan to announce and remind parents to get involved. Ms. Gallenbohr has been actually very supportive of the program and with this fundraiser, and we're going to be able to do some weekly donuts, maybe some challenges to kind of rev up support for it. But I'm pretty happy with what we've been doing so far. Big shout out to Ho and Strobel. They are the ones, their classrooms have already raised over $1,000. And then Mantooth and Strobel have had the highest percentage of giving so far in the classrooms with that 36%. I think this week's goal is 25% for them to get donuts. And then next week we'll up it up to 50%. But shout out to Strobel, who's doing a good job with this fundraiser so far. On Olympic Triathlon, we are also in the midst of doing some hardcore planning and recruitment for event day on September 27th. Hopefully you saw the video that Ike and I did about a week ago. We have nearly 20 volunteers for about 75 slots that need to be filled. In my experience with volunteer recruitment, similar to fundraising, a lot of the volunteers come in within the last 72 hours that are needed. However, I think it's still important to keep reiterating and messaging the importance of needing volunteers so that at least they can put a hold for it on their calendars. We're going to we have a comms plan for this basically that we're going to go heavy with this next week. But if you haven't already, please check out the Westlake Weekly. It has all the information and signups for that. Moving on, we got Classroom Ambassadorship that has actually been kicked off actually September 5th. We have a majority of our teachers with Classroom Ambassadors or more. I think we have 16 teachers that do not have Classroom Ambassador. However, I'm working closely with Dr. Ike on making sure that the teachers are aware of that, if there's any area that can help us recruit. But for those that do have it, the ball's been rolling with it so far. Also good to note that we have Whitney Browning, who has stepped up as our classroom committee chair, or classroom ambassador chair, I should say, and has been doing a great job with this, been kind of organizing folks, getting information disbursement. Again, this program is meant to be one where we can engage and activate parents and have a two-way communication. So for them to give us feedback on how WAVE and the school could be doing, and obviously on the other side of it, being able to help give them information to be able to support the classrooms and the schools themselves. Quick event note, we got bingo night on Friday, so if you're able to make it, I'll be flying back from New York during that time, so I'll miss it. But we have Tony E. Managing that night for us with Ms. Gallenbohr being the host and MC. Would love to have y'all there to see y'all support if you can make it. Moving on, we got Fall Festival, which is kicking off. We have a kickoff planned for next Thursday, September 19th. Tony E. will be our committee chair for that. We have 2 people with 4 slots that we're planning to have on the committee chair, so we're still looking for a few folks to join us. It looks to be pretty exciting. I'm going through the logistics right now, preparing and kind of going through our documents to make sure we're ready for that. We will be looking for sponsors and ways that we can reduce expenses. So please keep in mind anyone that would love to support Fall Festival either in engagement or through sponsorships themselves. Speaking of finances, we are having a board meeting on Monday, September 16th. The board will be approving a working budget for 24-25. This wasn't done in the last iteration over the spring, so we're making sure that's happening now. Right now, we're looking at a budget to make sure that we are giving the school, I think we're budgeted for $50,000 from our fundraisers, and then we'll probably have an operating budget between $8,000 or $13,000. So this draft budget will actually be a working budget for the next few months while we do a few more kind of iterations and figure out what we may need to update. We may amend the budget down the line, but again, we'll do that according to bylaws and board procedures to do that. Two last things. One, coffee talks are looking to come back. Once I get kind of a final approval from Ike, Gallagher, MacGyver, we'll probably start coffee talks in the last Thursdays each morning at the K campus. Moving forward, they'll probably be 30-minute format with some, admin wave updates and then creating a parent mixer. Seems to be a pretty good formula that people seem to be excited about. We'll probably look at evening cafes to start either in October or November. I'm working on a couple of logistics around that as well. More to come in the Westlake Weekly for that. And then I'll round out this update with just a board ask. We still have open opportunities for a VP of parent engagement and those for business affairs. Parent engagement will be working mostly on the community events that we have here at WAVE. Business affairs will work closely with me on the fundraising events. That's the Olympic Triathlon, Fall Festival, and International Festival. I apologize if I was talking a little quickly. I just wanted to make sure I could squeeze this all into one video for y'all to move forward with. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at wavewcs@gmail.com. I appreciate y'all's support. Westlake has been great to us so far. We hope to be great back to you. Thank you for your time. Take care.
All right, a little video format, huh? That's good. That's good. All right, back to the agenda. There we go.
Norali, would you mind doing the development update?
Yes.
Sorry,
No, that's fine. There's just something from our video from Felix that reminded me to put a reminder. So from development, we worked on figuring out how we are going to thank our donors for our big day of giving last year. So we worked on identifying that process, and we are gearing up and making sure we have all the documents ready for our monthly newsletters that we like to send our Explorer partners and all of our team we have there. And we're just trying to make sure that we can get the approvals early on and really focus the rest of the year on our big fundraising events that will happen in November, Giving Tuesday, and our big day of giving. So last month was very productive in getting all that, and then we will shift a little bit in our gears this upcoming meeting.
Thank you. Somehow Charter Impact got left off the agenda, but John, would you mind doing that update?
Yeah, sure. The Charter Impact team has met and had a really productive meeting. We're just discussing a kind of a white paper that lays out our sequence of events between now and charter renewal in 2028, and kind of how we're going to get from here to there, what data that we are building out each year as it applies to the charter renewal. They've got a really good, clear kind of like a timeline of events throughout this year. By the end of this year, we'll have this kind of white paper written out, and then each year subsequently after that, you'll be just updating it with pertinent data. So I think it's good work. They'll be writing some goals around that and bringing those goals to the board in the next month or two.
Perfect. Sean, finance?
In finance, we had a couple of discussion items. One was talking about our goals and calendar for the year, and the other was starting our multi-month discussion of certificated compensation. So more to come on each of those because, as I said, discussion items. And then the other note I would make is that we are combining our September and October meetings, and they're going to be together on October 3rd, normal time, in case anybody wants to come.
Thank you. Governance also met just this evening. We're going to pull school consent item 7B later on the agenda. Those policies, we have some additional review we want to do. We didn't get to them all, but they'll be back hopefully next month. But that was the majority of our meeting. John, I remembered you tonight.
There we go. Yeah, there's been some skips in the past. That's right. That's right.
I think 2 meetings in a row I tried to
All right. Well, let's play. What do we got? We got ourselves some slides. We'll do some talking. We'll probably do some celebrations, some strategic actions, some updates. And we'll see what happens. I got some stuff I'm excited about tonight. Let's start with some celebrations. I think I got 12 celebration slides. I think that's cut down from 24. I gotta be honest, I could do 50. There's just so much happening right now. It's wild, you guys. For those of us who've been around each other for a long time, going from K8 to K12, I'm sure increases the workload for all of us, but it really has increased the celebrations. There's so much happening at the high school. Every day that I'm there, I'm like, everything I see is just phenomenal. Hey, our Westlake Charter High School students turned out for the Meet the Clubs event. They were bringing out their clubs. The gymnasium, wall to wall, is just packed. And great clubs, just phenomenal clubs all the way across. Really brought the best out in our students, our student leaders who wanted to start their own clubs, and then for students to join clubs as well. Really good stuff. Back to school night at both campuses was kind of a home run, as it always is. Our parents show up, our teachers are phenomenal, and the information exchange, but also just that meet and greet is so powerful. So there's one at the K8 and there's one at the high school. High school, good turnout. Because you can have that, nobody goes to back to school night at the high school, but not at Westlake. At Westlake, people show up. So we had a good turnout. In fact, did anybody go to the high school one? Did you guys went? Okay, yeah. So before we open up to the classrooms, there's kind of that mixer in the commons, and it was boom. Were you there at the mixer? I have a picture. It was just packed wall to wall. So really good stuff. Bless you. Back to school night. After School Live is up and running. We have Alejandra is kind of running After School Live this year. She's doing a great job with our enrichments, right? Our and our athletics are booming. It's a great piece. In fact, this top left one, they're doing these clay sculpturing pieces, and who was that walking on? One of the political candidates was visiting. I can't remember who it was, but I was walking around with one of our NUSD board candidates, and we walked in and watched the kids working with clay in the after-school enrichment piece. Really cool. The Westlake Way. Just the celebration is that we started off the school year at the K8 campus with a PBIS campaign where we've been working on some very common approaches to making sure that we're all on the same page. How do we line up in the hallway? How do we enter the classroom? How do we exit the classroom? How do we do what we do? And I think it's setting the tone really well. We know that behavior actually has been a thing for us for the last couple of years. And when I say us, I mean the education industry post-pandemic. And I feel like, hey, we're making strides in this area for sure. Love that piece. Hey, the dual enrollment in the Learning Cafe. So one of the portables has been converted into the Learning Cafe because all of the furniture is very cafe-ish. It kind of has the same vibe as the Commons. We could have just lined up, desks and chairs in there. But we thought we'd go a different route. It may even double as a career center at some point down the line. It's very much got a cool vibe out there. And our kids in dual enrollment are on fire right now. We have lots of kids taking lots of college courses. So it's really, really phenomenal. Everest Academy. I want to celebrate this because I asked a year or two ago for your support on this kind of innovative idea. And as I was meeting with Silicon Schools yesterday, and I kind of explained to them where we were on our trajectory for this particular plan, their eyes kind of popped out of their head. They're like, wait, I'm sorry, slow down and explain, what are you guys doing? So I kind of explained what we're doing, why we're doing. They're like, okay, we have 60 schools in our portfolio. Tell us more about this project. And it really is going incredibly well. I mean, each of the educators on the screen right there are highlighted in some of the professional development and professional learning that we're doing. And what's great about that is if you're a teacher here, you're gonna learn from those teachers there, and you know them. Your colleagues are teaching you some of their best practices, and it's a home run. I mean, we're not there yet. We're, working our way through, but it's becoming a more robust tool for us already. We're only 1 year in. I mean, a year ago today, we were still trying to name it. Now, we are walking into a 6-part series where you can select English learners, behavior, or UDL, and you're going to enter into a cohort that goes through a 6-part learning series from October to February that's incredibly robust, incredibly rigorous. It'll be like taking a college course, and we're really proud of it. And what's great about it is we'll offer it this year, and next year you'll hire somebody new, and it'll be there. And 5 years from now, we might have common language across this organization because we've all committed to learning from one another, but you don't lose anything in translation between, oh, I got hired 2 years ago and missed that PD. They'll never miss it again. So really cool stuff. And I'm really proud of the work that's happening here. And I'm super grateful for all the educators that are allowing their practices to be shown on video. All athletics, as you can hear in the gym right now, is absolutely, and of course we've talked about cross country tonight, and I think boys soccer, they didn't play tonight, but you know, every week there's something great going on. Phenomenal programs. We had a touch of understanding out this last week. I know we celebrate this every year, but it's just absolutely phenomenal. And keep your eye on the Westlake Weekly this week for our very first celebrating 20 years of Joyful Learning spotlight video. Happened to catch Jalen Taylor and said, oh, Jalen, can I interview you real quick? And I went to interview her, and I said, weren't you a second grader at Westlake Charter School in 2005 when we opened? And she told us her story of being a founding second grader. And behind her are all the wheelchairs lined up for Touch of Understanding. And I said, tell me about Joyful Learning. And she told me on this video that her memory of Joyful Learning is when she was in second grade, her teacher brought in her own child who had a disability, and she learned about people with disabilities. And now behind her, everybody's learning about physical or visible and invisible disabilities. Such a cool moment. So this piece is a big deal for us. Congratulations to our Westlake Charter High School Student Council. We just completed the 9th grade elections this last week, and look at all these phenomenal human beings. There are a couple of the students on there that you might recognize as former kindergartners at this school. Just wild, right? I think there's 2 former kinder up there. Love it. Second grade Grandparents' Day was on the same day as Touch of Understanding. So we were 2nd grade and 4th grade. I mean, it was hopping at Westlake Charter School, man. It was Amy Rice had like 20 grandparents show up for her room alone. They're lined up outside, and Jen, Kayau's mom and dad were there. It was so good. It was so good. So yeah, Grandparents' Day was an absolute home run, and it's what makes this place so special. Our WAVE meeting this last month was great. It was great to see Felix as a new president bring people in and get people fired up. So I'm really hoping that energy remains and sustains. We're going to talk some strategic actions. I have 3 of them tonight. Planning for graduation. I think you'll love to talk about that. Leveraging our 20-year celebration. We'll kind of talk about what we're doing there, and some multi-year planning, which I'm super excited about. I want to riff on. There's another picture of Grandparents' Day there. Anybody recognize that picture over there? Where is that? Yeah, that's where you're having graduation this year, class of 2025. It is 264 days until graduation. How do I know that? Because if you click this link, Kahika said built this countdown. Literally, this time last year, it was like 700 days or so. I don't know, And so I said, hey, I'm doing the graduation slide. She goes, oh, you should use this slide. I said, do we still have that countdown? She goes, it's right here. Love you some Kahika. So yeah, there it is. Your 263 days, 16 hours, 25 minutes, and 8 seconds until graduation. It's going to be June 3rd at the Memorial Auditorium. Obviously, it's super exciting to think about and plan and imagine what's possible. There's lots of decisions that are being made along the way. Can we decorate our mortarboard? Can we not decorate our mortarboard? Can I wear a cord? Do I get a pin? What are the diplomas going to look like? What are they going to say on the diploma? I mean, when you're starting from scratch, when it's your first time through, there's lots of little decisions to be made, and we're working on. We have a weekly planning at this point. It's a kind of all things high school, but graduation is on the forefront of the conversation, just to make sure that we get enough parking passes or whatever it is we need. I want to talk a little dashboard-related graduation data. This is all obviously like projection data because we don't know until the end. But let's talk about like graduation rate projection. Super important to us. We kind of look at this. We have 112 out of 114 seniors who we believe to be on track for graduation. We have 2 students who are currently not on track for graduation. We are working with them on whether or not they want to stay here as a 5th-year senior or if they want to transfer to another organization. If they do transfer, then we would end up being theoretically 112 out of 112, and then you'd have a 100% graduation rate, and we'll just see how that plays out. Now, of those 114 or the 112 who are on track, you know, it's plausible. Somebody has a bad semester and we don't reach it, but 98% coming out of the gates for a 4-year rate we think is strong. We've been doing a lot of data pulling because I think I talked about this before at this meeting, but you know, the 4-year cohort is dependent on every single kid who's ever enrolled here and gone here for at least a day. They're part of your 4-year cohort. So if you went to school here and you left to intercom, it's pretty easy in CalPads that you'd show up at intercom, right? CalPads is the California Pupil Data Tracking. What does that stand for? California Pupil Longitudinal. Okay, yeah, we'll win a prize. You know, CalPads is a statewide data system, but if you moved from Westlake Charter High School to a private school and they don't utilize CalPads, you might like not get coded correctly, and you might be accidentally in our system, and instead of having 112 graduates out of 114, it might say, well, you got 115. Remember Bobby? He was here. We're like, oh, Bobby went to Jesuit. Nope, he's yours. So your percentage would go down. If a student moves out of state, like we actually have a student who moved to Nebraska, which is funny because I always say, what if someone moved to Nebraska? So he did. And so they're not part of CalPads. So there's a special code. So we've been learning a lot about digging into the data to make sure that every student who ever went here is accounted for. That's just kind of a big deal for your graduation rate because we'd hate to have a lower than expected graduation rate because of a data issue. College and career readiness is really important because that's going to show up on our dashboard. I think I spoke to this once before, but one of the college, you only have to meet one of the college and career or the CCR, college and career readiness indicators to be considered college and career ready. One of the indicators is meeting all the A to G requirements. Well, you know, because you have these A to G requirements as your graduation requirements. So any student who actually graduates will be CCR. We know that our 2 comprehensive high schools in the district, Natomas High School and Intercom High School, have a CCR rate of 46 and 52. We will have 100 because all of our kids will graduate A to G. We also know that you could also become college and career ready by graduating with at least 1 college course completed. But our graduation requirement is you complete at least 1 college course, so all of our kids who graduate will graduate college and career ready, which I think is a feather in our cap. It's good stuff. Any questions about graduation data, things like that? Yeah, there's lots more to come, right? As we go toward it and start unpacking the dashboard, and what the dashboard's going to look different. It's so fascinating. Come on now, click. No, click. I guess the meeting's over. Oh, just kidding. All right, here we go. Celebrating 20 years of enjoyable learning. I want to just kind of go over what the year is going to kind of look like. And I want to talk to you a little bit about like what is one of the outcomes that I want to see happen through this celebration. Because we are launching simultaneously a 20 years of joyful learning campaign, but we're also saying we're about to graduate our first high school seniors. And this is actually a perfect time for us to create an alumni registry. Are you a Westlake Charter School alumni? Did you ever go to school here? Are you a alumni parent? Did your child go to school here? Are you an alumni staff or board member? Did you ever work here? I'd love to collect all that data because I'd love to have more people to reach out to when we're celebrating the chili cook-off and canned food drive. We need you to get involved. But more importantly, those 112 kids are going to legitimately Westlake Charter High School alumni. We'd like to start that alumni registry, and it feels like an appropriate time to do that right now. So I'll start with the key events at the Olympic Triathlon. Our students are going to be doing some art project work that's going to lead to this time capsule piece that we're putting together, and you'll see that as it comes by. At the Fall Festival, we're having a Founders Day celebration. We're setting up this little sound stage where you're going to invite founders to sit and be interviewed, and we're going to do like this live stream thing, which is super cool. It's also the Fall Festival is we're going to invite all the founding parents out, and we've discussed having a Founders Day plaque. We had actually originally thought about doing that back when Robin Rose passed. We kind of talked about doing that, so we're going to kind of try to fulfill that piece right there. Chili Cook-Off comes at the end of, we've already kicked off at the Fall Festival, kicked off the canned food drive. We're going to be reaching out to alumni, doing spotlights, and saying, hey, we want to have the biggest canned food drive ever. We have a parent who's an architect and who wants to design our 20-year logo into a canned food sculpture, and then we'll have our engineering kids from the high school come out and use the cans as pixels and design this logo out of canned food. I can't wait to see it. I have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen. But it's called Construction of the 20-year logo. And of course, at the International Festival, we're going to unveil this celebratory mosaic, which includes the art project that I discussed up top and pictures of every single kid who goes to school here now and any alumni who wants to send their picture in. And we'll have literally 1,500 to 5,000 pictures included in this mosaic that will become this really cool installation here that we will unveil at the International Festival. And of course, there's a sign planting conversation where we put a sign for our future Westlake Charter School home in the new plot of land out there, and we'll kind of do a faux time capsule burying there. And then, of course, graduation itself. We'll kind of resolve the story arc of our 20-year celebration. Now, monthly, we're gonna have these, podcast spotlights. Which, if you listen to this month's podcast, you've got a couple spotlights. Jeanette Mixit's told her EdU story. Jonah told his story. Great stuff. And then spotlights in the Westlake Weekly. That's where Jalen Taylor's going to be in the weekly this week. So we're going to be kind of dripping it along. Here are some of the outcomes. Obviously, we want to celebrate our impact. We've been doing what we've been doing for 20 years, and we want to hear these spotlights of people saying, you know what? Westlake affected me. Westlake's impacted me. Or a parent saying, Westlake impacted our family. We want to hear about the impact over the last 20 years, but we also want to demonstrate the impact that we make now and we intend to make next. And so this whole story arc is about being part of this community. Now, there's a secondary piece, and that is like creating this alumni registry and connection of our alumni. And I think it's really important for us after 20 years to not we just never collected us all in one place. So we're going to spend some effort to project manage the curation of, hey, are you a Westlaker? Did you ever belong here? Would you still like to be connected here? Because I would love to have that list of 5,000 emails of people who know us and are investing in us, because maybe when we're ribbon cutting at the next big joint, bring everybody out, or if we ever do a capital campaign, or if we're engaging in endowment work or anything like that, it's good to have all these people on one page. Any questions on that? Great. I'll see you at the construction. We talk a little multi-year planning. I've been just scribbling on this because we've been talking strategic planning. I've been talking about, there's a state bond this year. Is there ever a future bond? What's all this look like? I'm going to just kind of wander down this rabbit hole in two different lanes. One is the strategic planning and reauthorization. One is the high school campus. I think they each have their own little pathway, but I like to kind of keep them together. So, I talk about building an alumni registry because I think that what's happening this year, along with the WASC accreditation, what's happening this year is we are data collecting this year. What is your story? What's been the impact? What has Westlake done for you? What is Westlake doing for you? What does Joyful Learning mean to you? WASC is about curriculum, instruction, assessment, school culture, and school leadership. Same thing. What is the impact? Do we know what we think we're trying to achieve, and are we achieving that? If not, how do we get better? So there's a great year of curating data this year on the left side. On the right side, there is a state bond on the ballot. And we think that if you're ever going to build a high school campus, that I think that there is a state bond that plays into it. Okay, let's roll forward. Next year in 25, 26, we think we take this data and we double down and we build that strategic plan. I mean, this is the 5-year mark from the original 2019 strategic plan. I think we were interrupted by a pandemic, but I think we're right at the right spot to build that strategic plan. And as this thing plays out, you'll kind of see why. Because as we get down to 2028, we're going to be reauthorizing our new charter. And I think as you submit that charter, you're saying, hey, this is who we think we are. We recognize there's areas of improvement with any school. You should be continuously trying to improve. And here's our strat plan, right, that solves the problems we already see we have. Not problems, but opportunities for growth. And along with WASC, it's the same plan. WASC is saying, hey, analyze how you're doing, find your areas of growth, and include those areas of growth in your strategic plan. Once you have that strategic plan, you're basically laying out your LCAP as well, right? So this strategic plan is being built all year next year and approved kind of at the end of the year. I mean, I'm assuming in the spring, we're approving that strategic plan at the end of the 25-26. We also think that if the state bond passes in this year here, we're applying for a charter school grant, right? We're saying, hey, can we get in line? Can we try to get the state to authorize through the charter portion of money for us for a construction project? Let's say $100 million. We'd love it to be $60 million, but let's say $100 million is what it's going to take to build that high school. If the state came in and said, oh, you look like you have a $100 million project and we grant you $50 million and you have the next decade to spend it, and we just hold it, we're like, great, we're halfway there. Now we need local bond money to fund it, right? I wish that was all going to come to fruition. Let's be honest, if it's 100, they'd probably say, oh, here's 30. You're like, oh my gosh, right. Let's use no ceiling tiles. Okay. Okay. I think we're cooking between 25 26. Here's in 26, 27. So now we're in the fall of 26, 27, and we're starting to write that charter, and we're starting to work on that FUA, which is interesting because over here we're trying to get this grant money, and now we're starting to talk FUA again, which means we're hoping there's a potential local bond in 26. Last time we talked to our counterparts at NUSD, they're like, hey, we might go out in 26, we might go out in 28. They decided not to go out in 24. So it makes logical sense that they would go out in 26. I recently walked lots of candidates for the NUSD board and have heard them say, yeah, it feels like 26 is probably legit for this local bond, which is good timing because we're writing our charter and we're writing our FUA and we're saying, hey, if you want to use this, and if we had some charter money, those two would go together like peanut butter and jelly, and we could end up going forward with an idea. So I'm going to push pause because this has something to do with this. And this just came out, I don't know if you've seen it yet or not, but the Sacramento County has released their Upper West Side specific plan. This is a draft. You can click on this link. It is a 212-page plan from Sacramento County. It's fascinating. So if you don't recognize what you're looking at here, this is the Upper West Side. So this is the river. This is the Chevron station. No, it's not. Is it Chevron? Where the Silver Skillet, the 49er. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Right. So right. So right. So this is this is West Oak, not West. This is El Centro. Right, and so this is all that open land over there, down there. This right here is that one set of houses that is out here on San Juan. You guys know San Juan? So that
soccer field is?
Yeah. Inside here is a bunch of houses, and there's a park in the middle of it. Yeah, so this is San Juan, goes all the way up to the river. You know, if you want to get to the Garden Highway, you go up San Juan right here. So this is San Juan, all of this down here, and then all of this up here, all the way up to A-Dub lives up here somewhere, I think. I think that's where.
There's my dog.
Hey, there's your dog. The reason I point this out is a bunch going on here. So if this plan, August of 24, kind of start to do the math, okay, 25, 26, I think if NUSD is thinking local bond, they're thinking local bond because they want to make sure that they're able to build schools. Will they even need schools? Well, this is 2,066 acres. There's 9,356 housing units. Was it a curse word?
but.
Oh, I thought I heard a yell.
You heard a yell, but I don't know that.
Okay, sorry, I was talking, so I saw your faces, I was like, well, if I have to send Amy Wells, you know.
I'm on it.
Yeah, so there's 9,356 housing units. Typically, school districts calculate a particular percentage based on, you know, on local data. It's been 41% in the past. It could be lower, it could be higher, but 41%. If 41% of each one of these houses has at least one student, then you kind of do the math, right, on how many seats you need. So this plan includes mixed housing and commercial development. This is a town center with some commercial and some high-density housing, and all through here is low-density housing. It's really fascinating to look at it. I encourage you to click on the link and take a look through it. It's a really comprehensive and interesting plan. Education impact. Inside this plan, there are 3 K-8s. 1 912 high school, 1 college campus extension, and one of the K-8s is right here, and the high school is right here. They're calling this the education node, and the college campus is there as well. So you think intercom with like a heron bolted on the side. There's a now, Steve was saying, but there's only one road in. Where's the traffic plan? Darn traffic plans? I mean, you know, I'm sure they'll figure it out. They're smarter than me. But like, that is a lot of stuff going on right there. So for us in the EDU, like it's just for us to know, this is what's about to happen in the Upper West Side or the West Side of Natomas. I think there's bond implications. So certainly as we start to look at like, okay, we think around here, November of 26 is a potential local bond, and that development out there is starting to pop up. They're going to want to get a couple of schools in before people move in. Otherwise, they're going to get caught behind it and have to theoretically like impact their current schools. Okay. By the fall of 27, we're submitting our charter for reauthorization because you want to give it in the fall of 27 so that by the spring of 28, it gets approved before June. And there's also that FUA as part of that. So when you look at the timing for us, if we apply for a charter school grant, we're not likely to get it, to be honest. But I'm like, hey, you get nothing if you don't apply. Let's say some of that came down, then this happened in the sequence of events, then you go right into this conversation for reauthorization. Maybe the state and local bond pieces come together, depending on who's sitting on that diocese, which board members are sitting up there. You know, they get to decide, hey, we got $250 million of bond money. Oh, look, charter school, Westlake Charter School's got some charter school grant money. Let's make that thing happen. You know, that's what we would hope for. And then you start to do this. You're like, okay, so we get authorized in 28. Then our job is to fulfill our charter promises and our strategic plan objectives. On the ed side of the house, that's what we're doing for these 5 years, right? But for these 5 years, you're also like, well, how long does it take to do this? You know, you start to do the math and you go, okay, if this all came to fruition in 27, 28, and then it took you 2 or 3 years to build it all out of the ground, I mean, you are potentially looking at 30, 31. If you did it in 30, your current 7th graders would be 12th graders, and your current 3rd graders would be freshmen. Is that right? I think it is. So it's just an interesting time marker. So if you opened up in 2030, 3rd grade. If you opened up in 2030, 31, 2nd grade. If you missed this 26 bond and get nothing, you'd go all the way past kindergarten. You got right? Which is a wild thing to say. Like, hey, those kindergartners won't walk into they'll be able to go to East Commerce. Which, I just want to do that multi-year planning so we're starting to like realize the importance of every single move we make along the way. Our strategic plan, our reauthorization, making sure our dashboard makes the reauthorization kind of a home run, our involvement and participation with the district in helping to get bonds passed, things like that. Any questions on the multi-year or on the Upper West Side? Any questions?
I still don't think of it as the Upper West Side, but that's not for here. I agree. It's like the Lower West Side, but only if you've got a Natomas mindset.
Yeah.
Can it just be the west side?
I think that would have been better.
West side?
I mean, whenever I see it, I think North Lake is all I'm saying. Like, I get it, but my mind, that doesn't look like North Lake. Where's the airport? So thank you for pointing out where you were meant. I mean, Topgolf would have been great in there.
Where did Topgolf land? Where did that?
It's like right in the neighborhood at El Centro. I'll show you after.
It's
Oh.
right by,
The hotels.
right next to where our fireworks booth was, right next to it.
Really? Over there? So down West El Camino over the
Yeah,
the freeway?
like Gateway Oaks over there.
Oh, no kidding. I just assumed that they were going to take over that. This is not board related. I apologize.
That was
Okay.
my fault. I started it.
Yep,
But-
nope, totally
but
sorry.
I look at that and that it just
Yeah.
made me, all the different things going on in Thomas.
Any comments, questions, thoughts on the multi-year? As we go into goal setting tonight, I kind of wanted to do like hey, I think this is maybe where we're going. This is the work that's ahead of us. If I missed something, throw it out there, and if you got any questions, throw it out there.
And it's not a question.
Yeah.
I think that it's important, and this is a good way of making sure our community understands like all that's in play with building the high school campus, and that it's not just us and all the different things like we have to work with and who we have to work with to do it.
So
it's
much in
always
play.
good to circle back to this.
Yeah. Well, also, and I timestamped because, like, there are still people who are like, how you guys doing on the high school? Like, we're doing great. It's amazing. In fact, when I toured Silicon schools at our high school yesterday? Yesterday?
This week, I know.
I know it was this week. They literally, because one of the tours, Jay is new, Kelly had been here before. I was like, well, yeah, this is our temporary campus. We love it. And we're standing on the oasis, and it's beautiful, and there's gazebos and portables and slurry painted ground. And he's like, this is your temporary facility? I was like, well, yeah, we're like, you're leasing this? He's like, John, we have 60 different high schools in our portfolio. Most of them are in, old supermarkets, and what you've done here is better than what we've seen other people do in what there is their permanent facility. We're like, yeah, well, you gave us the money, so thanks. We made it look great.
Glad you liked it.
Yeah, but I think we, Westlake, we want to build a permanent campus. I get it, but I think we also should be very thankful for like the amazing stuff we got. I mean, our school is awesome. Okay, cool. I just want to hit on that. Let me do some quick updates. There is the Oasis right there with the new portables back there and the shade rocking out there. Just want to recognize that as a high school. Oh, hey Lisa. We've got big things coming up. I was going to do a test and see if anybody could say what the PSAT stood for. I think I did that before, but the PSAT is coming right up for all of our kids. We've got the PSAT in October, open to all of our 11th grade students. All costs are covered by us. We have the SAT, of course, held in the spring, and we know that the PSAT is the National Merit Scholarship qualifier. I just want to recognize that we're continuing to do that practice at school. Our Silicon Schools visit was a home run. I wanted to give you some quotes from them that they sent me in the email regarding what they saw. This is so cool. They talk about our positive school culture. There's a strong culture, joyful energy in the school with teachers greeting students and fostering positive relationships. They saw high school engagement. Classrooms displayed high student engagement. It's a lot of cultural. What they saw. A supportive classroom environment, noticeable sense of inclusion, no students feeling left out or othered. It's funny when people think they know what diversity looks like, and then they come here and they go, oh, yeah, my perspective of diversity is I'm from a majority-minority school, so I serve a lot of students of color. But when you said diversity on the phone, I thought that's what you meant. But then I got here and was like, oh, there's no majority here. It's really, and then to recognize that our kids got put into table groups in math class, and there was no like, I'm at your table. Like everybody just goes, okay, let's go. So there's really a sense of belonging and not othering. This productive struggle in math was called out. The teacher really allowed the kids to struggle through something, and as observers, they love that. And then strong teacher-student relationships, and that is just so Westlake. So I love those call-outs from our Silicon Schools team. Wanted to give a quick update on TOMO, the teacher assignment monitoring outcomes. We've kind of dove in, done a couple of webinars on this, started to learn more about it. We've reached out to the Natomas Unified School District regarding the way that we report data, and we found, through Infinite Campus, a new function that will improve our 25-26 dashboard data. There's like this a button under a button under a button under a button. If you click right there, then it recognizes that this teacher in the middle school has 2 classes instead of 1. And if you don't click that button, you end up with, which is what we have over here, is this high number. And so as we click that button, we've seen it drop off. We're still hopeful it's not going to happen, but we're hopeful that maybe it'll allow us to re-report before this dashboard, but probably not. I will continue to monitor, but I just want to let you know that we've done some deep dive digging into that and figured it out, and already we see the data improving for next year's dashboard for sure. I think that is the end of my updates. Any questions on any of that, team?
Thank you for that update though on the data.
Yeah.
Kind of looking back, it's great to know that was something forward.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That takes you to
Consent.
consent.
Will you please see if we have any public comment?
Oh, absolutely. Seeing none.
That brings us to consent. Like I mentioned before, we're pulling item B from action tonight. So are there any questions in regards to the August 8th minutes? And if not, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Thank you, Amber. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Norley.
Hope,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Nerali,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Anne.
Yes.
Thank you. Since we have legal counsel here, does it make sense to go out of order?
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that.
Are we able to pause the YouTubes or are you?
No, we're gonna have to shut it down and just report out in the minutes. And what time? You know, I mean, I put a quick board brief into the board packet. The reality is that for this particular discussion item, you know, we're just gonna note that we have current goals and that we should be coming back in October and really like riffing on what goals are. So I think we can go out of order if you want.
It's really, I'm fine with assigning homework and knowing that we'll be discussing
Yeah.
it next month.
Yeah.
I was just trying to be cognizant of time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, but
Steve offered me to get on Zoom, and I was like, I'm gonna come say hi.
That's good. So good to see you. Yeah, we can punt completely and just go and bring this thing back. And certainly, if you have any, particular thoughts on board or executive director goals, hey, love to chat. Shoot me an email, or if you want to talk, let's riff on it. Otherwise, let's come back next month with some scratch notes, because I would suspect we'd go October and then approve in November.
Yep.
Everybody okay with that? Yeah, cool. Then I'm gonna go back to the agenda.
Which would bring us to our closed session item.
7:32.
We do anticipate a report out of, that will be in the minutes.
Yep, so for those watching on YouTube, I'm gonna shut off the YouTube, and when we report out from closed, we're going to do it in this live room here, but not on the YouTubes. However, our report out will be captured in our minutes, and those minutes will be publicly available.
And just for the record, our closed session is conference with legal counsel existing litigation.
Very good.
So I'm
So
leaving.
we're adjourning this part of the meeting, but we'll have to reopen to the report out.
Okay, so I'll just go
Very good.
hang out.
Thanks, A-Dub.
Yep.
Let me go ahead and shut down the YouTube. I wish I could pause it.
Text me when you're ready for me to come back.
Sounds good.
And that.